Good morning, everyone. Today we're checking out a brand new video from Josh Sculptor, the last list of the Kirby month videos, the top 10 Kirby characters featuring Account Shaman. Let's hop in and see who made this top 10 list.
Kirby has come a long way, so much so that the character roster has gone from mooks and monsters to a steady collection of likable rascals.
Given the nature of Kirby characters, it's gonna be
A lot of
tricky to
friends
come up
and
with an
allies.
elaborate analysis on your seemingly primitive personas. Fortunately, if you need anyone to help over-explain these fellas, I'm your guy.
Yeah, you and at least 3 to 4 other writers. Because of how simple most of these characters are, we're willing to reward the ones who take it a few steps beyond. Character development, strong motifs, and maybe even some inherent depth, who knows?
Let's end Kirby month with a bang and kick off the top 10 Kirby characters.
Now I wonder if it's going to be like actual player characters, allies,
Epic
or
Yarn isn't
special
usually the
appearances.
first game you'd think of when you think Kirby characters, but it actually does have an interesting one with Prince Fluff.
When you first meet him, he's being
Oh,
attacked
yes.
and Kirby comes to save him. He does act a bit princely and
So it's a bit of both.
prideful, but, you know, in a cute kid way.
It's about a handsome dragon warrior who slays evildoers with his breath and his snappy comebacks.
He helps Kirby pretty early on, giving him food and showing him how to transform into the different yarn forms.
That's what makes Fluff interesting. He's a Kirby partner who has all the same abilities as Kirby, at least in this game.
And
you can do
knows how to
co-op
use
with him
them.
and play as him in the original Wii version. Outside of that, he has his own secondary yarn transformations that help Kirby throughout the game, though he is hilariously scary if you don't do co-op.
Kirby usually does a pantomime show-don't-tell approach with its characters, but thanks to the storybook narration that goes on here, he feels more fleshed out than most. You can really see the friendship between the two more here than in other games.
I think
He's
the
truly
downside
a
comes
friend.
from not being able to do co-op in the 3DS version.
Or the fact that he has collisions, so make sure you have a good player too, because if not, well, it's Kirby Epic Yarn. Going for 100% here is like trying to 100% Crash 4 and Banjo-Tooie at the same time, while Tom Nook is banging on your door asking for your Acorn payment, but all you have are
Oh,
cashews.
jeez.
Well, that's oddly specific.
The less you know, the better. But yeah, Tom Nook, I mean, Prince Fluff is an adorable partner to Kirby. Just don't expect the rest of this list to be as
Josh, have you been playing a bit too much Animal Crossing?
harmless looking as he is.
I have no idea what was just on screen for that split second.
Star Allies gave us a ton of fan service. Not that
Oh
kind
yeah,
of fan
hundreds.
service. It's Kirby. Bad viewer. Anyways, the various callbacks and return of many supporting characters throughout the series were great, but we also get new waifus. I'll
Wait,
be at the
what?
corner of shame.
No, stay here. This is the corner of shame.
Oh,
Anyway, meet the Mage Sisters, the game's secondary antagonists who are loyal to the true Big Baddie Highness.
Francisca's the axe-wielding
Oh,
ice
wow.
mage armed with a deadly squirt gun. Calm and elegant, but also fierce and cold-blooded in battle. Flamberge is a sword-wielding fire mage armed with cannons. She's hot-headed,
Gunnin.
but also especially protective towards Francisca.
And rounding out the trio is Zan Partisan. That is a fun name to say. The lance-wielding
Zan
lightning
Partisan.
mage
Yes,
armed
it
with
is.
taiko drums. She's extremely loyal and takes her job very seriously. Each one represents a different element and weapon.
Must not reference weapon triangle.
Why does everything keep going back to Fire Emblem with you?
I'd stop if I could.
Oh, you and I both know
Stop
that's
if I
a
could.
lie. Backstories are pretty brutal. All three were on the verge of death by their respective elements, but Highness came along, unlocked their powers, and saved their lives.
Yep.
So the only
Just,
reason they're going along with this cultish
save them.
apocalypse scheme is they literally owe him for saving them.
You have saved our lives. We are eternally grateful.
Unfortunately for them,
Exactly,
Highness
yes.
is a batshit insane jerk who doesn't respect his most loyal followers. He pretty much has no reservations about using their strength to rejuvenate his own or sacrificing them and himself to summon his blessed master Void.
Thankfully, after Void's defeated,
Well,
they all get
incomplete,
out
but
safely.
yes.
But dang, even after Highness did all that to them, the sisters are still loyal to him, and even mourn him after Kirby kicks his butt.
Now, fortunately, you can bring the sisters back to their senses, and they'll end up on good terms with
Thank
Kirby.
goodness.
It's even implied that Highness gets his share of hope too. If you collected all the hearts throughout the game, that is.
Or if you didn't get all the hearts, then the story just ends with them stuck there forever. Yeesh. I felt so
Ouch.
guilty for not completing a collectathon. Maybe I deserve the corner of shame.
Because of their colorful designs, challenging
Save
boss
them.
fights, and likable personalities,
can.
it's definitely a relief that they got a chance at redemption. They even become some pretty neat unlockables with flashy attacks that hopefully won't melt your Switch like they do in their squad fight.
They make small
Wait,
appearances in
what?
future games, but we could definitely use more. They have great story arcs, and dang it, you want to see life get better for them. But hey, never say never in this series.
Alright, well, moving from the 3 majors, so we move to number 8. From 3 to 8.
Kirby's faced a lot of one-time foes across the years, and a ton of them stand out for their backstories, charm, or boss fights. Heck, you're gonna see a few of them on this list.
And while it's
Really
nice to
now?
have a character with unique motivations, sometimes you just gotta take it simple. And I must say, I've been cheesed to meet this one.
What?
Oh, yeah.
They're the rats.
The Squeak
Squeak
Squad's
Squad.
very own Daroche is the suave, cool phantom thief of the group. As far as villains go, surprisingly chill with Kirby, all things considered.
Oh, yeah,
Daroche is
incredibly.
your classic chaotic neutral thief. Good, evil, he really doesn't care. All the giant rat is after is treasure. And he leads the Squeak Squad across the world to sniff out the biggest heists.
And man, this guy's
Treasure,
a
you don't
powerful
mind.
mage to boot. Multiclassing from rogue to sorcerer gives Daroche all manner of magic items like a frost wand, giant fire bombs, and the triple
damn.
star cane. The Squeak Squad's god ability.
But he sought the greatest treasure in the game's MacGuffin, a big blue box. Kirby thought it had
Well.
his cake inside, while the Squeaks are expecting untold riches within. Turns out it's a demon.
It is a surprise.
Oh, yeah,
so
of
Kirby
course,
beats
there's a demon
possession
in a
out of Big
box.
Cheese, and
Demon in a box now, available for $5.99.
funny enough, the Squeaks harbor no ill will. They just wanted to treasure hunt in peace and give Kirby's cake back as a peace offering.
And they even come back in Mass Attack as allies. Here, Daroche helps you out with collecting the game's medals and even drops some lore about himself and his group. Like how the Band of Thieves is like a family to him, or how he's quite the ladies' man.
Rat Riz. Daroche's
Oh, of
cool
course he's got
factor
that
is what
Rat
gets him
Riz.
here. He's like a Persona 5 out of cast of rodents. Just a suave, charismatic gentleman thief.
Gentle rat thief.
Tomato, tomato, shut up.
Whatever. On to number 7.
3DS era was when Kirby really started going above and beyond with its storytelling. While prior games had relatively simple stories with nightmarish final bosses, Return to Dreamland upped the ante with background lore, and this trend continued into
Oh,
Triple
yes.
Deluxe.
So, show of hands. Who here expected Kirby to have a tragic tale of lost love and betrayal? Cause Triple Deluxe gave us the most depressed Spider Boy of them all, barring myself. Taranza,
Yo,
Sectonia's
Spider.
right-hand puppet master.
While Sectonia is the game's overarching villain, Taranza is the one who gets his arachnid hands dirty and kidnaps DDD, mistaking him for the kingdom's hero. Oh, how
I mean,
wrong he
he
was.
is a king.
Taranza's got a pretty cool design, being almost like a butler mage spider. And when you finally
Oh,
confront
that's
him
actually
and beat
clever.
his puppeteer DDD, he finally summons Sectonia, expecting her to save him, only for her to blast him for his failure.
Now, this seems like standard
Oh,
villain
no.
fare, but through hidden story details, you start to piece together the story of these two. And when it finally clicks, Taranza's story is just so sad.
Oh,
Before
yeah.
Sectonia
The thing, all it is that he found a medal and thought it'd be the perfect gift. So he gifted it to his best friend, Queen Sectonia, before she looked like this. She actually looked just exactly like Taranza. But then she kept looking into the middle, staying there for hours and hours until eventually being so overcome by the desire for her own beauty that she turned into what you see, well, what you can kind of see now on screen. Some kind of butterfly bee queen.
became the tyrannical wasp queen, she's just like Taranza,
wasp.
and the two were close friends. The spider even grew feelings for her.
One day, Taranza happened on a magical artifact he gifted to his queen as tribute. Unfortunately, this was the dimensional mirror, and as Sectonia stared at her reflection, eventually something stared back and
Damn, I should have just kept my mouth shut. They were telling it all for me.
corrupted her.
Taranza could do nothing but watch as Sectonia grew more and more vain. While he still held hope, the queen he fell in love with was gone. By his own hands, no less. Alas, the poor Spider Boy faces a tragedy that's worthy of the stage. While Taranza did help Kirby defeat Sectonia, the weight of the guilt on the poor guy must have been through the roof.
Oh,
yeah,
and the series
completely.
loves to rub in how he basically caused Sectonia's death and is still in mourning. Check out his Star Allies trailer.
Oh.
This guy needs a hug.
You think that's bad?
Get him a
Remember how
therapy.
Dark Meta Knight is also an ally in this game? Imagine the reunion. Sorry guys, I know we've had issues in the past. Totally might be. I was just a little in the dark back then.
Oh boy, we need to get a few of these characters some therapy. Stat. Already halfway
We've
done
seen
with
some
the list.
characters throughout the list that will no doubt make you
almost.
go once or twice. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. That's not the only criteria that we're ranking these characters on.
But if it was, Elfin would definitely be #1. Yes, you would. Yes, you would.
Oh my Celestia, you're so adorable!
It is very cute.
My biceps!
Seriously, Elflin's design is like a chinchilla bred with a love heart and have their baby in a room filled with kittens. You
It
can't
is
get cuter
so
than that.
cute.
I mean, our kids are the cutest thing ever, honey.
But of course, cuteness
Easy,
isn't all
Josh.
he has going for him. He actually serves as a benevolent half of Fecto Alphalus, sharing the ability to open rifts to other dimensions, though it's not as powerful as his malevolent counterpart Fecto Forgo. After the incident in Lab Discoverer, Elflin was split from his other half, leaving Forgo alone and forgotten by everyone.
In that time, Elflin
Also
gained
kind of
sentience and began
in a
living
stasis.
peacefully among the animals of the abandoned world. Aw, nice to see this little ball of fluff get some peace and quiet. At least until all the animals got corrupted by Fecto Forgo and forced
And
into
then it
hiding.
goes.
Win some, lose some. Fast forward to the events of Forgotten Land, Elflin serves as Kirby's companion throughout the game, giving the player tips as they navigate. In the post-game, he even
Wonderful.
helps track down Leon's soul for you in each area, which is great, considering some of these levels are known for not letting you backtrack.
Elflin's a real caring soul, helping Kirby on his adventure and even aiding in the construction of the Waddle Dee town. He's a good buddy to have around, even if
Nice.
he isn't the most courageous soul. Can't really say I blame him though, considering how much he's gone through with having to run away from his darker half.
Why does Nintendo put their cutest characters through so much shit? First there was Mifa dying, and now this?
Because emotionally abusing the audience is fun.
And also, because as James A. Janice would say, business!
The brooding warrior, a lone wolf whose sole motivation is the sword. They carry an air of mystery that makes us wonder whether
What
legends
the-
really lie. But more often than not, they're on pretty healthy terms with the protagonist. Arguably one of the most iconic in the video game world is
Meta
Kirby's
Knight.
on-again, off-again rival and frenemy, Meta Knight!
Perfect.
A mysterious sword-wielding badass in a mask and leader of a group of mercenaries called,
The Meta Knights.
with a hyphen.
Don't forget the hyphen between spider and man.
Debuting in Kirby's Adventure,
Where were his pants? What was that?
Meta Knight and his gang used to just be DDD's sellswords, but he offers Kirby some help now and again, tossing him some tools he'd need in his journey. When his inevitable clash with Kirby arrives, he gives his pink foe the sword ability as a code of honor. When you beat him, you get the biggest plot twist since Empire Strikes Back.
What a twist!
So,
Meta
wait,
Knight
is he like
is a
Kirby's
cubby.
brother or something?
I'd go with Uncle. It just makes sense.
Superstar is where
It is
Meta
kind of
Knight's
uncle.
first major story role comes into play. He's a full-on villain here, wants to take over Dreamland, and apparently has no qualms trying to kill Kirby on the way. Dang, feels like a huge 180, don't you think?
Well, he only tried to take over Dreamland because he was genuinely worried about the citizens' unhealthy lifestyle.
It's so
Can you blame
lazy,
him
Hill.
when, at this point, he's the only character who takes anything seriously? Of course, even he can't help but to be humbled big time by Kirby, and since then, decided to lay low and find a new calling.
As the series goes on, he would become one of Kirby's greatest allies. He leaps at a chance to save Dreamland
Wacha.
while we're forced to fight his evil replica. He even stole a chest that Kirby and the Squeaks were fighting over to prevent a demon from escaping. He still considers Kirby his rival, but he respects him enough to help out. Heck, going back to Amazing Mirror, he gave Kirby his sword,
Take it.
his most treasured weapon, to aid him in the final battle against Dark Mind. Really shows how much he trusts his frenemy after
And of course, he can still end up losing that sword.
what they've gone through.
I'll admit though, the big reason why I am so attached to him is because of the anime. He's less Kirby's brooding rival here and more of a double agent mentor figure. If you can look past the Zoro accent and the bad puns,
Kirby is putting his own spin on this situation. King Dedede may be a despicable dictator, but you've got to admit he's got some funny shtick.
he can actually be pretty profound sometimes.
The steel of my sword is hard, but the steel of my will makes it harder.
I don't don't know. I kind of like it when they
Okay.
go Mexican Darth Vader with him, especially his brawl voice.
Know my power.
Yeah, he hasn't had
damn.
any
That's a
major
lot
heavy-hitting roles lately, but come on, it's still Meta Knight. Aesthetic-wise, he's all kinds of awesome, and he's based enough to be the first secondary character to get his own solo modes.
Character-wise, he's your
Hell
resident
yeah.
Chuny, but you can always count on him to do the right thing when the chips are down. We are lucky to have him in our corner, especially if we need a blade to swing with.
Moving on from meta type to number 4, we have. Okay. What, can Kobe somehow make the list as a Paul
Behold,
himself?
the best video game character of all time! No,
I was joking. Oh, right, top 10 Kobe characters, not Kobe partners. My mistake.
I'm not kidding. You can't top Kirby. You can try, but you'll never get there. He is so
What
good
about 3
that
more
we have to
spots?
apply mortal qualifications on this list just to nerf him and...
Anyway, Kirby is a character that I honestly don't think anyone can
Oh,
dislike.
Shaman.
You know, assuming you're not edgy, in denial, or addicted to dorkly. Hellishly adorable from the simple design to the cheerful voice,
I am.
serving as the face for an absolute planet-busting badass.
Why don't we give a rundown on some of the things this tiny, insignificant puffball has done? Destroyed the embodiment of nightmares.
Squared
Twice.
with dark matter multiple times.
Mutilated a planet-conquering clockwork star from the inside.
Conquered
Yep.
the all-powerful enemies summoned by said clockwork
Yep.
star.
Punched through a planet until it cracks in half.
Threw a
Yep.
frying pan into the sun and back.
Defeated
Around the
multiple
sun.
eldritch monsters.
Swallowed a giant laser and spat it back out.
Drilled through another clockwork star.
Ramped a semi into the ultimate life form.
Defeated his own equal antithesis.
I'm sorry, but I love that one. It's like, he rammed a semi into the embodiment of chaos.
Destroyed the giant subspace gun.
Outran a laser beam that took down freaking Sonic.
And worst of all,
Oh, jeez.
eating a giant cake without getting diabetes.
You facho-ass fat-headed fat freak!
Seriously,
that's a lot
Kirby
of fat.
keeps giving the middle finger to anyone who calls themselves the strongest character, while still keeping that cute, friendly, foot-loving image, and it's awesome! He's basically a shonen protagonist without any of the annoying dialogue.
Ow, the edge. But despite
Ooh.
all that crazy power scaling stuff, one thing about Kirby that remains consistent and the cornerstone to why he works is that he's still a genuinely kind and loving character. He helps Dynablade raise her kids, spares DDD and
After technically beating her.
offers him a chance to amend his mistakes, and heck, in the anime, he's even a father to a baby Galbo. Surprisingly good at it too, considering he's a baby himself.
Sure, Kirby can be a naive glutton and assume the worst about others, but he did show he can improve from those mistakes. And that's another layer of
Aw.
what makes him so amazing. Despite being a silent protagonist,
King DDD is gonna top him a bit.
he actually develops
Calling
as a
it.
character.
To
As
be
dark
total
as the
second.
series keeps getting, he still remains the shining, positive beacon of hope who will always thwart the evil around him. Plus, he really loves his friends, and just look at this, it's killing me!
It
Adding
is
even
very
more
cute.
to that, there's even this underlying mystery surrounding who he is thanks to the existence of Void Termina. Knowing that it and Kirby are similar entities tells us that there was once a Kirby who never did become the kind, inspiring soul we know him today. Without anyone to call a
And
friend
was
or a
just the
place to
wall
call
beetle.
home, it became a hollow creature who can only destroy. The contrast between Kirby and Void seems to show that Kirby won't have been where he is now if it wasn't for the positive support he got from both the developers and the fans. With Star
Exactly.
Allies becoming a celebration of the whole series, everything ties together so well that it's genuinely heartwarming.
I think most will agree that Kirby has ascended to more than just a character. He's a symbol that
He
unites
is
the love for
the
cuteness and
character.
positive vibes, alongside the thirst for some much-needed violence and fun. All of this from a pink puffball with the stomach of a black hole.
He may not be number one on this list, but he will always be number one in our hearts. Never change, Kirbo.
Alright, well, we move from the main character at number 4 to the bronze medal of number 3. It's...
So, we talked about Magalor's boss fight, we talked about Return to Dreamland in detail, and even the copy abilities list is filled with ones that got better because of Return to Dreamland. So imagine my shock when we're ranking this list and Magalor somehow didn't end up at number 1.
You can thank me for that.
You ruined everything!
Oh, what? He's
Magolor
only
has
at
been
number
a fan
3?
favorite across the series, having the design of a mysterious wandering sorcerer and the personality of a snake oil salesman. No, I'm not kidding. He actually did become a salesman who makes shady remarks with you. Granted, some of it
Oh,
is just
come
playful
on.
banter, but who can really say for sure?
This Mage of Mischief is also favored by many for being a silly little twist villain. He may not be the first, but he sure as heck is the most remembered one. After you work your butt
Yep.
off to repair his ship, defeat Landia, and take back his homeland for him, he thanks you by
Supposed.
stealing the Master Crown and telling you that he's gonna fuck up your world. It's so comically
I will
subtle,
rule
but
it all.
still makes enough room for how epic his boss fights are.
For a while, we know Magolor as simply an evil powermonger with delusions of grandeur. Although a lot of that may have just come from the Master Crown's influence, knowing that this thing is connected to the ultimate dark entity of the Kirby series. We see
Oh, yeah,
that in
most
later
likely.
games, Magolor did try to make amends by doing more honest work. But we don't really know what pushed him to care enough to redeem himself either.
Fortunately, we do get some answers recently in Return to Dreamland Deluxe. In
Perfect.
Magolor's epilogue, we find our
Oh.
sneaky friend after he was defeated by Kirby. He lost all his powers and is stuck in a dimensional abyss.
Oh.
So basically, he's in hell.
The worst kind, with unoriginal, reskinned bosses. Ooh!
Throughout
Meh.
the journey, we see how much Magolor regrets what he did, especially when it cost him the powers he once had. Still, he works his butt off to take it all back, until he gets his hands on the Gem Apple Seed. But much to his misfortune, the Master Crown's red.
Wait, Gem Apple? As in the Gem Apple from the damn it, I can't remember it. It was that free download game thing that you could get on any 3DS.
Came in and took the power to itself, assuming the form of an abominable tree.
Oh great, now Wispy's a member of the Dark Matter Legion. Magolor finally experiences all the misery he put Kirby and friends through, and takes it upon himself to put a stop to it. He grabs his own Ultra Sword and cleaves that crown bastard. And after
Yeah.
all of that, he gets his chance to come back and start anew. With the seed at hand, he grows the Gem Apple tree and begins his weapon selling business. And
Aha,
at some point,
see?
he's able to open up Merry
Holy.
Magoland and bring smiles all across Popstar. Aw, so all this time he just
Wow.
wanted to make a theme park.
Assuming this isn't the timeline where he could team up with Haltman and Sectonia to colonize planets and enslave people to build attractions for him.
Magolor has grown
He's got a bullet egg man!
to devote his life to making people happy with his businesses, even despite the lingering darkness that once corrupted him. Granted, it's kind of vague whether opening up these shops and theme parks was his intention from the start, or he's just snake oiling his words in the beginning before getting a slice of humble pie. Either way,
Oh, definitely
he certainly
that
won
one.
the hearts of many thanks to his prowess, grandiose story, and charming sense of humor.
Oh, from Magolor 3, we move to number 2, and it's... Come on, King
Kirby stories have
Dedede.
usually had more focus on vibes and personality over depth. Not to say the latter is lacking in this series, but I'm not expecting the franchise to pull a new Vegas anytime soon. Regardless of the odds, however, we're still gifted with the presence of Haltman Co.'s lovely secretary.
Susie is a
Susie.
very different character from what we're used to when it comes to Kirby. At first, she started out similar to Taranza, a reoccurring antagonist in Planet Robobot responsible for thwarting your progress as you try to uproot Haltman Co. off of Popstar. That said, she's more sophisticated
ain't
and
mechanizing
outwardly
my planet.
sadistic compared to Taranza, clearly taking glee in trying to put you out of your misery.
Towards the end, it's revealed
Oh,
that
yeah.
Susie's
Yeah, they
been
had
planning
that.
to steal control of Stardream from Haltman. Why? Apparently she wanted to teach him a lesson. Lesson for what? Being a greedy megalomaniac? Cause
Nope.
you're not far off yourself, lady. And of course, after getting duped by the computer, she goes
Yep.
through the redemption you'd expect. Helping Kirby by giving him one last Robobot armor and taking off to defeat Stardream. It's
As after he fuses, of course, with the Hull boss.
only fair that afterward we give her farewells as... Wait, she just leaves? Like, not even a wave goodbye or anything? What even was that? First she's being a hypocrite with her boss, and now she doesn't even so much as thank us?
Yeah, remember when I said that Susie is different?
A
Her origins
long
are
story.
definitely not too straightforward. Once she was the beloved daughter of President Haltman himself. However, due to a tragedy involving an experiment gone wrong, Susie's caught in the casualty and got warped into a parallel dimension, where she spent
Yep.
years toiling and suffering before she could finally find her way back into the normal world. By the time she sees
Bringing
her
us
father
home.
again, all that's
Bringing
left is
our
a puppet
home.
leader to Stardream who's too busy mechanizing planets to recognize his own daughter. Wow, why do I feel like I've talked about this before?
Play another franchise!
Oh.
But yeah, unlike that other father-children relationship, Susie does remember. Seeing what happened to her father could only fill her with bitterness, to the point where she harbors the sadistic attitude we know her for. Everything you
Yep.
cherished is now twisted? Well, I say, fuck it then. Let's watch the world burn. It's
Yep.
apparent that she is internalizing a lot
It's a
of
classic
dread
thing.
towards Stardream, and is desperate to take it off her father for good, but to no avail. Fortunately, she still has some hope to start anew, and decides to use her father's assets to bring
Hey.
peace throughout the galaxy by mechanizing planets herself.
Oh, damn it. That's freaking false. Damn it,
Suffice it to say,
Susie.
Susie is not as simple as bad guy turned good guy. She's undergone a lot of trauma that tore her away from the happy life she could have had, and she wasn't even at fault for it happening. She's not just gonna open up to Kirby and accept his kindness after he
Shit
robbed any
happens.
remaining chance she could have had to rekindle with her dad either. Now, yeah, it's not Kirby's fault, obviously, but it's hard to really blame Susie for being morally impaired over the whole thing. She's really deep for a Kirby character, and honestly, I think it's awesome to have at least one morally grey character in this series that keeps us curious and thinking. Shows that this series can surprise us with some really good writing and visual storytelling sometimes.
We are talking about Kirby, right? Because with
Yes.
all this pontificating about gray morality, this might as well be about Edelgard.
Ooh,
Let's
what?
stop comparing Kirby to Fire Emblem for now, can we?
Hey, it's your fault. You started it.
I mean, he did. Well, okay, now we have the honorable mentions.
Gooey. He may be a spawn of darkness, but there are no thoughts in that head other than a goofy
Child
smile.
of darkness.
Bandana D, the most loyal spear-wielding aide a king could possibly ask for.
Marks. I'm fucking insane.
Oh, I hate you,
Highness.
Mox.
Ah yes, exactly what I expected from a Kirby villain. A doomsday cult leader.
The butterfly. Those orange wings have been haunting us
Butterfly?
since 64.
Wait. You can really count the butterfly. Okay, I guess technically it is. Now that it's become clear, it's actually Morpho Night in the skies.
Biding its time.
The Robobot. It's alive this whole time?
Oh yeah, no, definitely count that one. And it cried. Oh. Now this one has to be King Dedede. Right out loud. He's been out since game 1. Please.
Here we are, the very end of Kirby Month, and the true MVP of the franchise.
And it only seems fair that we grant this title to a king.
Yes.
DDD, that's the name you should know.
Yes.
DDD, he's the king of the show. You'll holler and hoot, he'll give Kermit a boot. DDD is the one.
King DDD, the self-proclaimed King of Dreamland. Not that everyone was
Finally.
really gunning for the part. Next to Kirby himself, he's one of the franchise's most recurring characters, appearing in almost every major title in one form or another.
On the surface, DDD looks like your typical big bad dictator. He's pompous, gluttonous, and at times, kind of a doofus. That's definitely
Oh,
the
yeah,
case
no,
in his first
definitely.
appearance, where he tries to starve his so-called subjects. This part of his character remains well known to date, especially because the anime further hammers in this personality. No pun intended.
After his
Heh,
first
I
defeat
don't
at the
get
hands
it.
of Kirby, he seeks
Get it?
revenge, amping up his army with the specific purpose of hunting down and defeating his rival. He even becomes legitimately threatening when he puts that metal mask on, which he's totally not ripping off from Meta Knight.
Big surprise, he still got his butt kicked.
Easily.
From this, DDD quickly realizes what little chance he has against Kirby. Though his reign was short-lived, he still has his subjects with him. And perhaps this is what kicked off a new chapter for the once power-mad penguin.
So we see more of what DDD's up to starting from Kirby's adventure. He broke
Who needs to be a tyrant when you already have loyal subjects?
the Star Rod, which caused the people of Dreamland to be unable to dream. But it turns out the reason he did this was to protect the land from the diabolical nightmare. Could he have been more transparent? Absolutely.
Oh,
Was
yeah,
it a half-baked
100%.
plan? Unquestionably. But his intentions were true, so B for trying.
Other than that, the times we have to fight him are mostly because we were tricked into doing so, or because he's been possessed by some insidious forces. It gets to a
Which
point where you
happens a
can't
lot.
help but to feel bad for him because it keeps happening every motherfucking time.
My man,
Like an Eats
you are a
game.
king. Get an exorcist on your payroll. But beyond all that, DDD did gradually find himself on a true path to redemption. He's able to put his ego aside and help us out, becoming a prominent ally in Crystal Shards and Return
Let's
to Dreamland.
go.
He even led his own solo journey in Triple Deluxe, where he destroys the Dark Mirror responsible for corrupting Sectonia. And don't even get me started on Forgotten Land. He put his life on the line for
a
one
single
Waddle
Waddle
Dee.
Dee, yes.
One Waddle Dee. That is some king shit right there.
Hell
That's
yeah.
some serious dedication.
For a person to be a true king, they must be willing to die for even a single subject.
To grow out of a habit of greed and gluttony and care for those who served you for their entire life. This penguin man is what Chads look up to. Of
Hell
course,
yeah.
despite this, he's not completely out of the antagonist role. He can still play it well given his appearances in Battle Royale and Fighters 2. Even when the stakes aren't high, we can still count on him to put on a good show.
But yeah, let's talk about that anime. Despite what we said earlier, he's just as fleshed out here as he is in the game. Of course, he starts off as a jerk and wants nothing more than to trouble his people at his own leisure and get Kirby off his back. But you can't really hate him because he has some of those quotable lines in the show.
Hand me another bag of them chips.
What am I supposed to do? Drop it in the road and wait for Kirby to trip over it?
It disintegrated. If Kirby's smart enough to get sick, so am I.
He don't scare me none.
But as the series goes on, he starts to show how much he does appreciate Kirby. Even going so far as to build a playground for him in the final hours of the apocalypse and mourn his death when he thought he had killed him with a prank. While he's merely following the goofy nemesis archetype you see in a lot of kids' anime, I'd argue he's one of the best examples considering he struck just the right balance between comedic and heartfulness where it really matters.
All in all, it's safe to call His Highness the Miles Edgeworth of the Kirby franchise. With a hint of Squidward. His journey
With a
from
hint of
bully to
Squidward.
hero was a slow burn, but bear in mind, his introduction was during a time when platformer villains didn't get as much character growth, and having them team up with the hero was more of a rarity.
But DDD's the exception to this rule. He branched out from the traditional nemesis role while still standing out as a respectable character by this point in the series. And we have to commend him for being able to rise above himself and thrive for the greater good. So let us take comfort in this. If we ever need a playful nemesis or an unlikely yet devoted ally,
As always, DDD.
I'm Josh Scorcher.
and I'm Count Shaman.
Now then, would you kindly warp star your way out?
Oh, actually my phone is out of battery. You got any spares?
Actually, I got something even better.
Oh
A
no.
black hole? Indoors?
Oh, I didn't think about that.
God
Damn it, Josh! Alright everyone, that's going to be the end of today's video, and I hope you all enjoyed this. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link to the original will be in the description below, and I'll see all of you next time when we flick back on. Till then, this is Fox, signing out. Peace.